Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 18th, 2025 meeting of the Litchfield Planning Board. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call of members. Michael Croto, Chair.
Jared O'Connell, Vice Chair.
Russell Blanchett, member.
Jesse No, alternate.
Travis Tucker, member.
Letha Riley, member.
Steve Gannon, Selectman's Rep.
Okay, and absent this evening is Jeremy Robertoy. Jesse, given that you are an alternate, do you want to vote in his place this evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we'll make you an alternate voting member and appoint you to that position. First item on the agenda is public input on non-agenda items, items not on the agenda for this evening. Is there any members of the public wish to comment on non-agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, I will close public input on non-agenda items, and we will go to the first order of business this evening, which is the public hearing for the Litchfield Capital Improvement Program for 2026 to 2031. This is a public hearing tonight, and so we are going to present the capital improvement plan to you folks. The committee has met a couple times to review current projects and requests from department heads from the town and as well as the school. So with that said, I will get us started. All right. So the capital improvement plan, or the capital improvement program, the CIP, is a plan that outlines the schedule of proposed capital investments in land, buildings, and equipment over a period of at least 6 years. Projects for the plan are classified by need, urgency, and timing. Those projects included in the CIP are based on information provided by the town's department heads, boards, committees, and commissions, and include information related to costs, needs, and sources of funds. Why do towns do this? Well, the CIP assists the Board of Selectmen, Budget Committee, and the voting public in their consideration of annual budget by placing large capital investments within the context of a long-term plan. Litchfield was required to adopt a CIP under state law in order to continue to assess impact fees on new development. And the benefits of impact fees, well, impact fees allow the town to offset the costs of new buildings, equipment, purchases, and other capital investments necessary to accommodate new residential development, costs that would otherwise be borne solely by the taxpayer. The CIP committee has needed to ensure that the CIP remains current and relevant as a planning and budgetary tool. We see it as a living and breathing document and continue to meet each year to review the plan. The vision, well, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee created a vision statement when it began to meet. It was intended to be a blueprint for the next 6 years through the year of 2031 for this year. The future growth of our town, its resources, prioritizing strategic short and long-term economic development goals, cost impact, as well as offsetting revenue sources, basically in the scope for CIP review. And the aspects of our town's future considered by the CIP include the heritage preservation and community character, land use and growth management, preservation of natural resources, economic development, community services and facilities, infrastructure needs, and replacement and continuing maintenance of town assets. CIP aims to put forth a recommended list of capital needs across the town and school district that protects the town's investments as well as limits taxing impact, basically in a controlled environment. The Capital Improvement Committee remains to be fully transparent to Litchfield residents, welcomes feedback, and seeks Board of Selectmen, School Board, and Budget Committee approval of recommended warrant articles in March of 2026 that can begin to be actioned in a phased and fiscally responsible way. As you see, we have the members of the committee, myself for the Planning Board, Peter Plansky, Vice Chair of the School Board, Kim Queenan, the Board of Selectmen representative, Pete Stone, Citizens Rep, Michael Parker, Citizens Rep, Brian Bork is the Budget Committee representative. He is non-voting. Kim Kleiner is our Town Administrator. She is non-voting. Jay Mankara from NRPC is on the board. He is on the committee. He is non-voting. And Brian O'Connell, the Business Administrator, the Superintendent of the Litchfield School District, and the Business Administrator. They are non-voting. We talked about CIP. The statutory authority and purpose is under RSA 674:5 and 6. The 2014 town warrant article delegated authority to the Board of Selectmen to create the committee. It was formed at the discretion of the Select Board. Capital Improvement Planning Committee was created to develop a master plan of key projects spanning both town and school. And the plan was looking at all anticipated expenses from various departments that are generally over $50,000. It's important to note the document is simply a planning document, and all items within the plan would need to be voted by the respective boards, budget committee, and voters at town meeting each year. It does not accurately reflect a tax impact or actual funded projects at that stage. The Board of Selectmen have to make that decision. You can see the meeting summary for this year from January 6, 2025 to December 2025. We've actually set up a pretty good schedule this year of meetings and to review the plan and to have the folks from the departments and the commissions and the school come in and provide presentations. So we are, after tonight, if this plan is approved, then it will go to the Board of Selectmen for their approval. Well, I guess we're going to start out with the school. Griffin Memorial School. So the elementary school project remains a top priority on the school side. $20 million renovation of GMS was rated as urgent by the CIP committee. Other priorities to highlight was the Litchfield Middle School pavement, parking lot, and access road. That was identified by the committee as urgent. The purchase of the solar array and storage for Litchfield Middle School was identified as necessary. Campbell High School exterior building repairs were identified as necessary, as well as the Campbell High School and Litchfield Middle School repairs or improvements. Those were also identified as necessary. And district-wide capital improvements were identified as necessary, that over the 6-year term for the school this year. Going to the police department projects, we have two things for highlights. The new police facility plan for 2029 was identified as unnecessary by the CIP. And identified as urgent were the acquiring the police cruiser leases, 6 of them, 2026 to come from the existing funds. And that was over the 6-year term. Highway Department and roads. Looked at the town operating budget, which includes $200,000 for annual road improvements in accordance with the Master Road Improvement Plan, offset by highway block grant funds. And the additional improvements proposed at $200,000 per year to total $600,000 over the 6-year period, designated as urgent by the committee. Buildings and equipment based on the highway department, the new $170,000 highway storage garage in 2026 would come from existing funds. That was identified by the committee as urgent. Replacement of 8 light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks, including replacement of a 2000 Ford F-350 in 2026. That was rated as urgent. Recreation improvements. There was a new playground at Sawmill Brook and an upgrade or replacement of the Darrow Pond Playground that were proposed. A new community center proposed for 2029. Talent Hall was in need of major improvements or replacement. However, the project is deferrable as additional research the committee felt additional research was needed for those. A new community stage is proposed that is also designated as deferrable. Again, looking to research that or need for further research. Looking at conservation land acquisition, that was ranked desirable. The $2 million request to purchase certain parcels of land, that remains in the capital improvement plan. No changes. Library improvements. We have a proposed new roof and foundation work was designated as urgent to be paid from existing funds. There was a proposal for new security cameras were also designated as urgent. And a new library building, the estimated cost to be $3,997,746 is proposed, but no project year has been determined. The project is also designated as deferrable as there needs to be further research. And you'll see the capital improvement plan, the revised version that was approved by the Capital Improvement Committee and with the rankings that we just mentioned tonight. And that is all we have, folks. Any questions for the board?
No way anybody is seeing that, but nevertheless.
I have a question for you on the as committee members. What does it take for you to get an urgent rating? Does it have to be unanimous? Does it have to be a simple majority? What defines? How does it go from desirable to urgent or necessary to urgent? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, I think urgent is used to define it. It's basically that the need has to be, there has to be a current need, and it has to be immediate.
A safety issue or something? Or
Well, it could be. For example, I think we talked about one of the highway vehicles as being an urgent need only because of the age of the vehicle. And, you know, there could be safety issues with that, involved with that as well. But most importantly, that the timing now, based on the age of the vehicle and what it can and can't do anymore, that can make make it an urgent request. Something that is necessary would probably, fall down from an urgent, go down, like next in line from if it's not necessarily an urgency that we need it now, but it is necessary in the sense that it is something that we need to have, or at least require, or looking to have. And then, of course, desirable, deferrable, and it goes down from there. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Yeah, were there any items that were of particular debate amongst yourselves in the committee? Like, one or two things that you had extensive discussions on, more so than others?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple, I mean, obviously, I think one of the things, the conservation properties, that was originally a necessary, and that was downgraded to a desirable. I think the committee feelings that there was a certain amount of money in the current use that they felt that, and of course, you know, I did speak with the Conservation Commission about it. They didn't seem to have too much of a concern, because they know that the money's there, and if they need it, they can use it. So they're not too concerned. And I think because of the recent purchase that they made for the DeRocher property, I think that's another one that was quite extensive, so.
I know there's some committee members here who might have some
Yeah,
thoughts, but.
I am gonna open it up to public comment, and if any of the committee members are here, some of the committee members are here from the Capital Improvement Committee tonight.
But there definitely was discussion around some of these. I think in particular, there was discussion around some of the ones that were deferrable. And there was conversation around, could something be urgent if it's not needed for 26 or 27, if it's down the road? But they were definitely debated individually.
Yeah,
Do we have to worry about any of these where there's a state grant or anything like that? Do we have to worry about any of that being revoked, or? That's the question.
no, I mean, I think that is there to represent that there is a possibility that there may be grant funding available, so.
I see.
Yeah.
So we're
Referring
not
to the-
relying on it necessarily, but it's a possibility for that
Right.
particular item.
So you're
And-
referring to the rescue truck for the fire department?
There are a couple of them. Yep, the rescue truck, the block grant funds.
Yeah, 'cause
It's just
it's-
curious more than anything else.
I think Kim might have a response.
So I guess what I'll do, because it is a public hearing, I will open it up to public comment. If any members of the public here, we have our town administrator here tonight, Kim Kleiner. She is on the CIP committee. Pete Stone, who is our citizens representative, and Mike Parker, who is also a citizens representative for the committee, so.
I can answer your question. So,
Still not-
Kim Klein, our town administrator. I think your question is a great one, and just, I'll give you an example, like, under the highway department, that Ford F-350 that is urgent, it's off the road. So that's a down vehicle, and unfortunately, we just don't think it's worth the investment to put that vehicle back on the road. So that leaves us down. That becomes an urgent request. The other one is the highway storage garage. We plan to use impact fees for that, so that is an urgent request, because what we're finding is our vehicles are taking a significant deterioration due to weather. Having salt touch your vehicles and then leaving them outside in the elements is the worst thing that you can do. And so that's why many Department of Public Works and highway departments across the state are making sure that their vehicles are covered. So even though we plan to fund that from impact fees, which is one of the uses of impact fees, that's rated urgent. The other item is the International 7400 Heavy. We will apply for a grant for that from the Clean Fleets grant. And as long as it's necessary on here, we will submit this plan as part of our backup to that grant, and that will be fine. So necessary and, urgent are kind of interchangeable, except if we really would like the Board of Selectmen to place a warrant article for this year, which they'll be discussing next Monday night at their meeting, we would ask for it to be rated urgent, because there is a request that can't be filled. So, if that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Just to build on that, if I could, it's kind of a complicated spreadsheet, but This is a little bit of a truncated one. We can get everybody the full one, just to even, well, I was gonna say to try to fit it on a page, and that didn't quite work either. But if you were to look at the full spreadsheet, you would notice that there are, so a couple of things I guess I'll point out. So first of all, if you see something that is kind of a lighter gray and in brackets, that means that it is being funded through some other revenue source. It won't hit the tax rate. So that's why those were shown in that way. And then there's a column that says funding source with a 1, a 2, or a 3, and that'll indicate whether it's coming from impact fees, a state grant, or it's coming from a trust fund or some other source. As a general rule, unless, so for example, with impact fees, nothing was shown as being funded by impact fees if the funds weren't available and we had an indication that it was an allowed use. With the grants, we put them in if there was reasonable assurance, reasonable likelihood, right, that we were going to get it. So that either meant it was already approved, or, for example, like in the block grant funds for highway department, that's a pretty consistent amount of money that comes every year through a block grant, so reasonable to assume. But if we didn't have that, there was one case where something was shown as being funded with impact fees, and we determined that it wasn't eligible, and so we changed that designation. So we tried to be careful with the funding sources.
Yeah, thank you for all your hard work on this, all of you.
Anybody have anything? Any other questions? Pete, Mike, anything? Yeah,
No, I think it was explained well.
okay.
So the total wish list over all 6 years would be 54 million? 54,407,000? Bottom right corner of the eye chart. And that's total of everything, school and municipal.
So, yes, but not all within the 6-year period. Within the 6-year period, it's 22,655,489. Because some of the bonded projects, of course, are going to continue beyond the period.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
understood. So 22, that's not that bad
Yeah.
overall. It's a lot of money, but it's not as bad for a 6-year plan.
Right. And there was also some effort to try to even the impact over the course of the 6 years. That's not always possible. It's not possible to do it exactly, but there was some effort to do that as well.
So is it my understanding that we would vote tonight to recommend? the
Yeah,
Board
to
of
recommend,
Selectmen?
yes.
I know, Kim, you had sent out some dates, I think, for the next Board of Selectmen meeting. One was the 24th of November, and the other one, I believe, was December 8th. The only problem is that I have a meeting on another board on the 24th. So if we were to do it, it would probably be December 8th would be my availability. That's the only thing, if that works for the board. So, and as if that works for everyone else.
And as I was looking, I'll note that we are almost a full month ahead of last year.
Yeah,
Wow.
Not bad. Yes.
pretty good shape, yeah. I think we did a good job of scheduling this year, so. If nobody else has any other questions, I guess I'm looking for a motion to basically recommend this spreadsheet be presented to the Board of Selectmen at their next meeting on December 8th.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion
Okay,
that we recommend the Litchfield Capital Improvements Program for 2026 through 2031 to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
Next meeting,
okay, so for December 8th.
for December 8th.
Okay. I have a motion by Letha. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Jared. Any further discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of the motion to have this recommended, this to go forward to the Board of Selectmen for their December 8th meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Anybody abstained?
Me.
Okay. Motion passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 0, 1. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And thank everybody who's done a great job,
Thank you for doing all that.
hard work, and, okay. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our agenda. Next item this evening is the master plan update. We have a master plan update, Chapter 3, Natural Resources.
Which is still in process, I'm sorry to say, but I
And
am
that is
still
to be
working on it.
tabled?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we are close, so I will get a draft out to you shortly, but
Okay.
it's not ready for prime time yet.
All
What
right.
are the major changes from the prior one?
They're really significant, just because so much has happened. So the big things I would say that are notable. One, a very significant loss of farmland. So we've seen a lot, even in I still have to make some updates to the 2022 map because we've lost 2 more. So that's one of the biggest changes. There's also been additional conservation land that's been acquired. So that's also important, including, one really significant one recently that's worth talking about. And there were, of course, as we've seen before in other chapters, there were a lot of assumptions about things that were going to happen in Litchfield. Circumferential highway, et cetera, that didn't happen. Some of the assumptions around growth have definitely changed, and just strategies, tactics, funding, there's just been changes on all of those fronts. So what I thought was a lighter lift is actually a heavier lift, because it's really all of the data that you're looking at has shifted. The other thing that is really significant and very positive is that the Conservation Commission adopted a conservation plan a couple of years ago, and they really put a lot of time and thought into priorities around acquisition, and I think that's really important to bring into the plan as well. And then there's other changes that I would say are, I wouldn't necessarily say they're minor, but there's some information that we didn't have available the last time it was done. For instance, the priority habitat mapping that we now have, I think is really important to bring in. Land use change generally, we've got some good data around how many acres have shifted from one use to another. Most of that, of course, is from undeveloped land to developed. Also current use, that the properties that are in current use have changed, and needless to say, more development has meant more property has come out. So that is another change as well. So the key, I think, is really going to be around what are, kind of 2 prongs: regulatory strategies around enhancing conservation, which are things like, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a recommendation, but, increasing buffer requirements or setbacks from wetlands, as an example, and acquisition. And really, realistically, there's fewer and fewer target areas. And then, of course, there's things like groundwater conservation, et cetera, changes around that too, whereas there were active water supply wells, public wells, that's no longer the case. Also PFAS, needless to say, emerged as a really significant issue. And that was not an issue, when the master plan was last updated.
No issue, yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of content that really, so I'm bringing it in. I do have a draft together, but it's still in rough form. But yeah, I really didn't appreciate how much change because you kind of think, well, the aquifers are still the aquifers, and the wetlands are still the wetlands, and so, yeah.
No, the wells are poisoned. There's no need for an aquifer protection district anymore.
I mean,
Thanks, Merrimack.
yeah, so a lot of change, but I will get you something shortly.
Okay.
Definitely it's an interesting process, though, to kind of go through when you are looking at that other draft and realizing that, the number of things that have changed. It does also, I don't know if I want to look at that necessarily as a positive, but it definitely helps to focus your attention on what are the resources that are remaining, how to prioritize those, and, what can you really do that's effective.
The last time this was updated was 2002.
Right.
Well, that's the last time was 2002.
Yeah, I
4
mean,
years ago.
it's a lot of change. So, yeah. So more to come for sure, and I think it'll be interesting.
Okay, we look forward to that. Next item is our zoning amendment work session. We talked about a couple of things last session regarding duplex definition and the draft solar energy ordinance. And I guess any other zoning amendments for vote in March of 2026. So I guess I'll turn this over to Jay.
So, at the last meeting, and I can repeat it if anybody is interested, I know everybody wasn't here, but we, for the question on duplexes, I put up a PowerPoint, basically, a little slideshow on comparative definitions and images of duplexes. If people would like to see that again, I can absolutely run through that again. It's up to the board. But essentially what that did was there was a significant amount of variation from one community to the other on how they defined what a duplex is. And based on those, we kind of came up with a recommended amendment. That's what I've got up on the screen now, and again, I can go back to any of those examples. And it pulled in a lot of the elements that we saw in many of the other communities. We had a significant amount of discussion. I'll read through it, and then I'll talk to the discussion. So right now, if you're looking at the amendment, what you see in black is what exists today as the definition in the zoning ordinance, and that is duplex or two-family residence is two attached dwelling units contained in a single building, period. And just back, going back, I think one of the reasons why a change was initially proposed was because of the lack of clarity that gave the building inspector, so I guess presumably the public on what is or isn't allowed. I'm just trying to get that a little bit bigger, but I can't. So what's proposed is, obviously you keep that intro, and then what would be added would be located on one lot, separated either vertically or horizontally by a fire-resistant party wall, with each unit having its own separate entrance. The area of the party wall separating the two units shall not, I should put a B in there, shall not be less than 33% of the total area of the adjacent side of each dwelling unit. Duplexes do not include accessory dwelling units as defined in section 507.03 of this ordinance. So that's the definition. We did spend a fair amount of time talking about what percentage should touch. And that came out of input that we had at a prior work session where there was like, you should allow for staggering, for aesthetic reasons or for whatever other reason. So that's where the 33% came in. It's, kind of, there should be enough that it's that you can consider it a single building, but not so much that you are restricting design options. So that's what we came up with.
I drove past the duplex that spurred this discussion, and yeah, that looks like they built a little tiny thing for the sole purpose of making it past zoning. Like,
It's attached.
So
I figured-
clearly it doesn't meet the 33%. Is that what you're getting at?
oh, it's like
Okay.
it's 1% and a breezeway.
Okay.
It's like 3 square feet, 3 square foot triangle, just connecting 2 buildings. It's clearly designed solely to get past zoning.
It serves no purpose except to attach the two buildings. 'Cause I think it's still like 8 or 10 feet high.
Yeah,
too.
it's not even
Fairly high. It's not like it's over a porch or something.
Yeah, it's no porch there. It's literally just a little tiny roof thing.
So if it falls over in a snowstorm, well, they have to put it back up.
Yeah, it meets the letter of the
Question.
ordinance, but not the spirit of it.
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
this does a lot more to kind of bring it closer in line with I think what we want to see. And I know we were talking a lot about kind of numbers and specifics, so I know we can kind of talk more about that if we need. I think 33%, kind of thinking more on it. I know a lot of us were. I was attached to 50 just because it was kind of clean and dry. I think 33 is reasonable because it only requires like a very small amount of overlap while kind of still maintaining that the buildings have to be reasonably connected. So I like that suggestion, Jared, from last time.
And another complication that I thought of is that if they have, like, let's say one building is 1 story and the other building is 2 stories, if they have 50% overlap with that, then it's reduced to a smaller amount with only one of them being 2 stories and one being a single story, because of the just because one's not as tall, so it's not overlapping on that part.
Right.
So I think this should be good, and I don't think it needs more clarification. I was thinking of maybe suggesting for at least one level of a dwelling, but then that complicates things even more with the stacked ones, so I don't think we need to get into that at all. This should prevent the concerns that we had.
What do we have this year? 4 duplexes built? 3 on page, 4 on page. Aren't they all on page? No, 3 on talent.
Well,
2 on talent?
yeah, I mean,
buildings.
Okay.
Dara Pond is duplexes.
Yeah, but those, I'm saying this, in this past.
Oh, in this past
I
year,
think it's
yeah, we just approved a new subdivision with I think 4 lots, but 3 of them are new duplexes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more and more prevalent as the cost of houses are getting so expensive that the only alternative is an ADU or a duplex.
I think that's probably true. We're gonna see more duplexes. So if this makes sense,
Has the building inspector had an opportunity to take a look at this?
I don't think so. By the way, he's leaving.
Oh, he's leaving?
Yes,
Okay.
December 19th,
Very short-lived.
yes.
So the new building inspector hasn't, because we don't have a new building inspector yet.
okay.
Submitted an RFP the other day, it was posted.
Good.
So if this makes sense, then the next step would be to send it to public hearing. Just as a reminder, we have 2 that we've already sent forward to public hearing. And we didn't set a date certain for those, but just in looking at the calendar, that the public hearing would be January 6th. That'd be the last day we could hold the first public hearing. So it doesn't have to be that day, but that's the last day we could hold it in our schedule.
And that would allow one more public hearing after that?
Yes. Yeah. We always budget for 2.
Does this have to be adopted by ballot?
Yes. And so the second public hearing, again, would make sense for us, would be the 20th. So we'd be looking at the 6th and the 20th. Could hold a public hearing sooner than that, though, if we wished.
I prefer not waiting till the last meeting, if it makes sense.
So just,
Anybody have any?
I was gonna say, I think there's enough in here, and I think, a number of the items were taken from other towns' approvals, and we know that they have not necessarily, their inspectors have not necessarily had much issue, or at least we haven't heard of any issues with their language, so, I don't know, I feel pretty comfortable that there's enough in here that it's pretty clear.
The overlap requirement, I don't think was in any of our adjacent towns.
There was one town where it was.
I think there was one town that had an overlap.
I don't remember which one, but it was addressed.
yeah. But we certainly took pieces from different ones. They had language, like the ADU language was one town made that clear, and that was a good idea. So calendar-wise, we could do it on December 16th, if that's, we could probably do it on the 2nd, but that'd be a scramble.
One question, can you have a duplex plus an ADU? And is it per household, so can you have a duplex plus two ADUs?
No, it's single-family homes
Yeah.
only.
Single family, okay,
And then you'd end up with 3 dwelling units.
3 or 4?
Or four.
Yeah, 4 on a single lot would
So
be
single
crazy.
family dwelling, okay.
Yeah.
And nowadays, the people have to choose, do you want something that can fit on a smaller lot and has a single family home with an ADU, or do you want a bigger lot that's slightly bigger for the requirements of a duplex, but you can have whatever size you really want on the 2 units, and you can have separate ownership.
Right.
And yeah, speaking of ADUs, there was another ADU that went before the ZBA yesterday. It was another one requesting to convert a gigantic garage's 2nd floor into an ADU, and they just found it not unique and not meeting any of the 5 criteria.
Oh, well.
So it was denied.
1,700 square feet. That's a big ADU.
It's huge. So yeah, that was denied, but definitely shows that people are trying to create those very large ADUs with their existing structures. And for that one, I'm sure they're just going to figure out a good way to keep part of the space unfinished.
And I think it was one of the things that because for the 2 that we've already put forward is the ADU amendment and the changes to home occupations relative mainly to family childcare, childcare. And I think we anticipated there's probably going to be a good discussion around what should the maximum size of an ADU be.
And also, it was brought up like how to define it. Currently, the people are using the definition that lets them squeeze as much square footage as possible out of it. I know that I've heard that for the recent ADUs, they've been they haven't been counting stairwells in closets.
Right.
But when you count building square footage, generally you just count a stairwell once rather than once for each floor, and include closets. So
Typically,
the question is,
yes.
should we do it? Should we
Can't believe they
clarify?
don't follow the ANSI standards, I don't get that, but, okay. There is a standard out there, they should go by that one.
And what's that standard you
Stand-
count?
I'm sorry,
And what is that standard you count closets, you count stairways?
I don't know all the specifics, but I do know that it's followed in the trade,
Yeah.
and it's called ANSI, and there's,
And you do, yeah.
go to class for days over it.
Same way you calculate your home.
Yeah.
Right.
A single residence or double.
Yeah.
Right.
And the question is, do we want to keep it ambiguous, or do we want to define how the square foot should be calculated?
I'm gonna have to go back to our draft. Something told me that I thought we did
I
address
thought we
that.
addressed it as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to the draft on that, but yeah. Which I can do after. we move this one.
Because one of the, using the example that was brought to the ZBA, I don't know, a month or two ago, not including that space was like 970, including that space was like 1,400 or something, and it was maybe a little less, but it was still quite large.
Some big closets probably, big stairwells.
Big stairwells, grand stairwell to your EDU.
So are we comfortable to send this to public hearing? And we say December 16th?
We hadn't
Or whatever.
decided, but
That's
I mean,
what
if that's the will of the board, we could certainly do it on the 16th,
Does
yeah.
it make sense to split up the public hearings like that, though? Do we want to have the public in the room for all of our business in one shot?
We can do that as well.
Yeah, we didn't, for the other two, we voted to send them to public hearing, but we didn't choose a date.
Right.
So we can do them on the 16th if that's what we want to do.
Just to maximize turnout.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to do them all in one night.
Do you want to entertain a motion, Russ?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to take the duplex two-family residence amended definition to public hearing on, excuse me, December 16th.
Okay, I have a motion by Russ. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Jared. Any further discussion? All right, take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes 7-0-0. Okay, so we'll have that. It was December 16th.
And we should probably have a motion to set a date for the other two, or is that necessary?
It's probably a good idea, because we didn't.
All right, so, yeah, if you want to make a motion to set the date for the other two, then we can.
I will make a motion to specify the date as December 16th for the public hearing for the previously, for the zoning amendments previously sent to public hearing.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
remember what those were.
They were changes to the home occupation ordinance,
Occupation,
making it a conditional use, and the ADUs, amending the ADU ordinance.
Okay, I have a motion by Jared. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Russ. Any further discussion? All right, take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained?
I'm gonna abstain, so I'm not sure if it'll come before us or not.
Okay, motion passes 6-0-1. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's see. Moving on, do we want to talk about the draft solar energy ordinance?
Yeah, I
Anything
can
on
walk
that?
through this one. So
Okay.
this is, needless to say, more complicated. And just for a little background, this is based on a model solar ordinance that was developed and circulated by Clean Energy in New Hampshire. It's, very much adapted for what would make sense, at least I think would make sense for Litchfield. So right now, Litchfield's zoning ordinance is silent on solar installations. So how Litchfield would regulate them is pretty uncertain because it's obviously completely vague. There are solar panels on people's roofs in Litchfield. Those have been approved. There's at least one ground-mounted solar installation that I think we're all aware of on a residential property, but otherwise we're silent. And so what this ordinance would do would be to allow the town to regulate solar installations, and there's a wide variety of them. So I'll just kind of walk through that, how this is structured. So first of all, obviously we have the purpose of the ordinance. there are, just starting with, a lot of definitions. So right now we have no definitions, but some of the key ones are dual-use solar. And I'll just kind of spend a little bit of time hovering on this. So this is a solar energy system that's co-located on the same parcel with some other land use. So it's not the primary use. It's also not an accessory use. It is, a dual use on the property. And that can include, very often, agriculture. So it is a dual use on an agricultural property. It can be a brownfield. There's a variety of different types. Importantly, though, we wanted to make it clear that dual-use solar systems do not include roof-mounted systems. They do not include ground-mounted systems that are accessory to a residential use, such as the one that I just mentioned. They also don't include solar carport systems. And those are those solar structure canopies that are erected on parking lots, because that's an accessory to a parking area. They also don't include, and we spent some time talking about this, so I'll just read it, systems appurtenant to electric vehicle supply equipment, energy storage facilities for use in electric vehicle charging, or off-grid systems appurtenant to individual appliances or equipment. So that's a short way, or a very long way of saying, if it is a solar installation, such as one of those single panels that is often on a traffic control device, warning you're speeding, you're going too fast, whatever, those are not considered dual use. Then just moving on, there's a lot of other definitions in here. I'm not going to go through a lot of these. Obviously, we have solar, roof-mounted, and again, the solar carports. Otherwise, most of these are really not. I'm not going to go through them all, but if there's any questions on them, I can go back to it. So, next is general requirements, and the first one is related to accessory use solar systems. So this is where we talk about roof-mounted systems, and essentially under this ordinance, roof-mounted systems would be allowed anywhere in any zoning district, so long as you meet the following criteria. So, no special approvals are required; they're permitted. But there are some design standards. So just as an example, on a pitched roof, it has to be parallel to the surface. If you can imagine a pitched roof with solar panels, the solar panel can't go beyond the pitch of the roof, as an example. It also just notes on a flat roof, they're exempt from the height requirements. They don't tend to get very high, but they would be potentially a little bit higher. And then we just note under this that a ground-mounted system can't exceed 20 feet in height. Most of those are tilted, so at the maximum tilt. Also importantly, a ground-mounted system has to meet setback requirements, so all applicable setback requirements. And then ground-mounted systems have to be adequately screened from adjacent residential uses, public highways, vegetated buffers, etc. That's ground-mounted only, just to make it clear, that doesn't apply to roof-mounted, needless to say. They are exempt from lot coverage requirements, and imperviousness requirements, so long as the area under the system maintains its vegetated ground cover. So if it's, hard top underneath, then obviously that's impervious, but otherwise it's not. So the next section, so that's general requirements, that applies anywhere, any zoning district. Next are ground-mounted solar energy systems, and this section deals with dual use and primary use. So where a ground-mounted system, and think of the larger scale solar arrays that we, sometimes see, they would only be allowed as a conditional use, and if it's a primary use, it's only allowed in the northern and southern commercial industrial service districts. So just standing up to the zoning map, that is this area here shown in the dotted peach, and this area here shown in the dotted peach. And as we talked last time, this area here really doesn't abut anything because there's transition zone here, here, and commercial zone here. I don't want to say anything, but it doesn't abut residential areas, and for the most, it doesn't abut 3A. Here, the same thing is true for all this surrounding area, but in this district, it does abut 3A, and so that's dealt with specifically a little further on. So again, it would be allowed under this draft in those districts as a, as a primary use, would be allowed as a conditional use. Dual use systems are permitted as a conditional use in the northern and southern commercial industrial service districts, so those same districts, but also the highway commercial district, the southwestern commercial district as well. So that is this is the southwest commercial district, and this is the highway commercial district. We actually did not include the northern commercial district. And then in addition to that, it is allowed in the residential district only on parcels of 10 acres or more where it's in association with active agriculture. So those are the three circumstances where you can have dual use solar. And the rationale there was that it's becoming increasingly common for active agricultural uses to have solar arrays or some form of solar installation on their sites. So that's the concept. So then there are the design standards. The first is a system layout, and that's just a general, because once again, this is a conditional use, so they'd have to come to the planning board for site plan review, and this would be the additional criteria. So obviously they have to show, due regard for its siting with regard for view sheds, making sure, again, it's screened, fenced, et cetera, as appropriate. Again, just noting that it would have to meet all building setbacks, except where it abuts 3A. All solar energy systems, again, this is only primary and dual use, arrays would have to be set back not less than 100 feet from Charles Bancroft Highway. Power and communication lines need to be buried, although the planning board can grant an exception for that where it's essentially not practical. Fencing may be required for screening. It may also be required for security reasons. And then we just note that the ground-mounted solar arrays are subject to stormwater management requirements. However, once again, if the ground surface is vegetated, it's not considered impervious. In terms of site management, the land clearing should be limited to what's necessary for the array. And then finally, we just note that dual use with agriculture is encouraged. And then we get into submission requirements. So submission requirements, and these would be in addition to the normal site plan review requirements, you also need to provide this information. Obviously, you're going to show the site, you're going to show the location, what area is going to be cleared. Here, there's a little bit more of an emphasis on, showing the impact, the visual impact, specifying the equipment. You would also need to provide an operation and maintenance plan. So how are you going to maintain the site? And then an emergency response plan that would be submitted to the fire department. And then finally, a plan for abandoning and decommissioning the site. And that could also require, the board could also require the posting of a bond or a letter of credit to ensure that it's decommissioned properly. So that's the concept.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Anybody have any questions?
Nicely done. Nicely done. You took a 33-page document, you boiled it down, and you, seriously, and you were able to capture some of our points from last meeting. It was very nicely done.
So are we planning on sending this to a public hearing for this upcoming public town
If it's the will of the board.
Before you do that, I would want to make sure that you find and replace the spelling of dual throughout the thing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
In
Yo,
some
you're
places it's
right.
D-U-E-L.
Yeah,
In
you're
some
right.
places it's D-U-L-E. I'm sure that
Got
was just a
it.
fat finger thing.
Yes, it
but-
was.
But just
It
so
hurt
that
me.
it's
No, but that's
consistent
a good
throughout.
call, because I read it.
No worries. Just picking on you.
Well, I will open it up to the members of the public, if anybody, members of the public here tonight want to comment on the proposed ordinance. Do so.
My only question was just, I know last time, I know we talked a little bit about kind of fencing and screening these things off, and this is very helpful, but I don't know, this just, if there's anything out there, are there any like examples, like photos maybe of kind of like we could put in of what we want, what we're looking for, particularly on those kind of spots where they might be very visible, like on that kind of Albuquerque situation that we were talking about last time?
I can look.
Okay, yeah. Like just yeah, that'd be just that I know they're gonna have to come before us as a kind of conditional use anyways, and we'd have that discussion, but it might help put some guardrails on.
Yeah, I'll find some, maybe I'll, put together a PowerPoint for the public hearing.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the wording in there, you got the wording right
Mhm.
after our discussion last time, in that you talked about backing up to residential or public highways, screening from view. So, I mean, I thought that was pretty clear,
Yeah.
which was nice.
Well, it's up to the board. I mean, if you want to take the opportunity to review it some more, look at it some more, we can do that. Or if you want to, you feel it's comfortable to send to a public hearing, we can do that as well. But it's up to you guys. So it's the will of the board.
Yeah, I think substantively this is ready for a public hearing. Seems to cover what Litchfield, what would make sense in Litchfield.
I think this is also probably one of the things that might attract a crowd, so we might kind of have the added advantage of a little extra time and kind of meetings to address everyone's concerns.
Okay. And did you want to schedule that for December 16th as well, or another date?
Be nice to have everyone here on the day
Yeah.
that all the other public hearings are, so that we get attendance for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone want to entertain a motion?
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to send the draft solar energy ordinance to public hearing for December 16th.
Okay. I have a motion by Travis. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Jared. Any further discussion? All right, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of moving this ordinance to public hearing, December 16, 2025, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstained? Motion passes 7-0-0. Okay. So we'll take it to public hearing. Thank you.
Um,
We have one more that, I know the selectmen wanted it, right now there are no signs allowed on Albuquerque, so that we could maybe make it town function signs or something to that effect are allowed on Albuquerque Avenue.
Okay.
I could probably pull something together on that for the next meeting.
Yeah,
For the
maybe
meeting
that
on
would
the
be
2nd.
appropriate. And maybe do some little research and
Yeah.
see what you can come up
Yeah,
with.
we had a
Jen.
brief discussion a month or two ago about it.
Seems like there's no enforcement of the prohibition as it stands.
Yeah, there's enforcement,
There's enforcement.
there's enforcement. Road agent and the building inspector.
Okay, I drive Albuquerque frequently and see signs that are there for quite some time, and there just seems to be nothing done about them.
So what is it that what is the issue, I guess?
The intention,
The,
next one?
things like the fishing derby signs are pulled down and, town events.
even putting, when the kids graduate high school, the signs going up along Albuquerque right in front of the building,
Okay.
those aren't really even supposed to be there. So what we're trying to do is allow those situations for the fishing derby, for Christmas in Litchfield, for parades, for that kind of stuff to be granted. But we don't want to have a bunch of, I'll do your roof, hire me for paving signs throughout the
I
town.
see. Okay.
And I think it was gonna come before the board to get approval, right? Was that the intention or through
I
planning?
don't think so. I
No.
don't think it needs to come before the board for approval. Just if it was town events, because we've always put the fishing derby signs up, Page in Albuquerque.
Would these be for a temporary use or just?
Temporary, yeah,
Yeah,
temporary.
temporary.
Should say temporary.
Okay. All right, so I guess, I don't know if that's something that you can.
Yeah, I could do that.
Pull together for next time.
One thing that I noticed on the ZBA meeting as well is we've had our second equitable waiver in the last few months because of improperly locating house foundations in setbacks. And one thing that was brought up is that Litchfield doesn't require a surveyor
Certified plot
to-
plan.
Yeah, the plot, what is it, the plot plan?
Certified, yeah.
They require it after
Yeah.
the building's up, but
So-
they require a foundation permit.
Yeah, a lot of towns will require, that you have a certified plan for the foundation, yeah.
Might be time for us to consider that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we
I'm
don't
assuming
have one
that's
already.
a minor additional cost to the builders, but cheaper than moving a building.
Or going to the ZBA.
My guess is probably that they don't have to, once it's up.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, they just use an equitable waiver at that point.
Ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, revising this process would help prevent this from happening. So what would the process be for that, if we wanted to consider that?
I can draft a requirement on that.
Would that
I'll
go
just have to
in
think
the-
about where it's gonna go.
Yeah, the building,
Might go, or it might go in the subdivision.
Mm.
Yeah, let me think about that.
It's not
Need a
just-
subdivision.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not subdivision, it's gotta be, because you want it to apply to, existing individual lots
existing lot,
also.
yeah.
Um, So it might be zone, let me just noodle that a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'll come up with something.
sounds good, yeah, a lot of the neighboring towns do it, so I'm sure we can use those as reference.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right.
I think it was mentioned last night that Hooksett and Litchfield are two that don't. The gentleman who was sitting there talking really fast, it was kind of hard to catch everything he was saying as I was making dinner and trying to watch the meeting, but he did mention Hooksett and Litchfield in one of his statements about that.
As
Yeah.
what, as what?
Not
Ones
requiring-
That don't require it.
Oh,
Yeah. I know Hudson does, and it gets circulated. It has to be signed off by, the zoning administrator.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense to prevent, like, clearly it happened, like, these mistakes happened twice in the last few months. Like, that's unusually frequent. Just made by errors in surveyors and reading of surveyor pinpoints.
Yeah. It's also helpful for things like wetland setbacks, and, you typically also have other improvements that are there or roughed, at the time also, so it makes sense. Okay. All right. Anything else, Jay, or? I think that's it for now. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for. We walked in with 4 and we're walking up with 6, so we'll see where we go from there.
So you're making some headway today.
You have a lot of warrant articles for zoning.
cut those money articles.
Yeah.
All right, committee reports. Any reports from any committees? Jay, anything on economic development? Excuse me.
Economic development has wrapped up, so there should be a final report,
Okay,
coming forward.
okay, good. Anything from the Board of Selectmen?
I was out of town in the last meeting, so, no.
Catch
That's
up
it.
then.
No more travel this year.
Let's see, Capital Improvement Committee, obviously, we presented our public hearing tonight. That'll be going before the Board of Selectmen on December 8th. The Lower Merrimack Local River Advisory Committee. Pete, when's the next meeting? Tomorrow. It's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in Nashua City Hall.
What are you guys talking about there?
Lower Merrimack River.
It's, well, yeah, that's
I
basic
mean,
concept.
what do you advise on?
There are usually folks that come in with AOT, alteration terrain, or shoreline permits. If any properties within the quarter mile of the Merrimack River are affect the river, they have to go before the local advisory board, which basically makes recommendations to DES.
Okay. So you get quite a bit of activity on that.
We do. We also do other things too. We're looking at water quality testing and a bunch of other issues. PFAS is one of them as well. So there are some other subjects that do come up.
So no, in our town, how would that work? If someone came before the ZBA or the planning and they live along the river and they wanted to do something, we'd have to send them,
If they live within, I believe it's a quarter mile of the Merrimack,
it's required.
there is a requirement that you have to come for, if you have a project that,
And who
obviously.
notifies? Would it be a ZBA thing, or would it be planning, or how do they get
No,
notified?
it could be that they need a state permit
Oh, okay. Okay,
from
so the
DES,
state.
like alteration of terrain
Sure.
or shoreland.
I was just trying to figure out how that gets triggered.
We flag it though on our checklist, so
We do.
we'll flag it and we'll let them know if they haven't, that they need to.
So. I think that's everything.
We have NRPC tomorrow night,
And NRPC tomorrow night.
right?
That's
So,
right.
Yeah,
the Fleet
so
Commission meeting,
full commission, so
7 o'clock.
probably, the main items will be, adopting safety targets which is a federal requirement, but essentially it's, how many, fatalities and, severe injuries are we gonna tolerate on our highways? Yeah, it's always a fun exercise on, yeah. But that always seems to generate some interesting conversation. Like,
Okay.
why isn't it 0?
Yeah,
Right, why isn't it 0? So there's that.
I'm numb.
And there will be a discussion, I don't know if there'll be a vote, on whether or not the commission wants to take a position on a potential toll increase and/or gas tax increase. Some commissions have, I don't want to speculate, but So we did decide to agenda it, and a few other updates, including, I'll just note, since I know it'll be a issue here, that I did get notice that the DOT is beginning the process of decommissioning the circumferential highway. And so that's a process, and it'll take some time, but essentially what that means is it will allow them to reach the point of declaring the land surplus. And that impacts, obviously, Litchfield, Hudson, very much so. But I was not aware it does also impact Merrimack and Nashua. There are some parcels that are affected as well. So there'll be more to come on that.
All right. Interesting. Okay, well, thank you. Approval of the November 4, 2025 minutes. Did the board have an opportunity to take a look at those? Have any questions, amendments, concerns? Nothing jumped out at me, but,
Same.
okay. And if there aren't any questions or concerns or amendments, does anyone want to entertain a motion to approve them?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from November 4th planning board meeting.
Okay. I have a motion by Letha. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jesse. Okay. Any further discussion? All right, take a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the November 4th, 2025 minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Anybody abstained?
Abstain?
Oh, okay. Well, you seconded, so,
That's allowed.
We- Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
it's
actually
taken
vote
a
if you watched the meeting and you read the minutes and you
Yeah.
feel confident, you could actually vote.
Yeah, if you believe the meeting minutes accurately reflect the meeting's content.
I do.
Having not been at the meeting, I'm abstaining from voting on that.
okay. I don't think you don't have to abstain. I'm just saying that, you know, okay.
I wasn't present.
You weren't present. 2, 3, 4. So that's, looks like it 4.
403?
Yeah, it'd be 503.
503?
1, 2,
Yeah.
3,
That's
yeah.
8.
No, that's 8. Yeah, 5-0.
The 4.
No, not 4.
503, because
502.
Jeremy wasn't around.
Right. Germany. So,
So it's either 403 or 502.
yeah. No, there were 4 of us at the last meeting. I know that.
Yeah.
So that's 4.
And Jesse's voting,
And Jesse,
are you voting or
Yes or
abstaining?
abstaining?
No, he abstained, but he seconded the motion.
Second the motion.
there were 1, 2, 3, there were 4 people absent. So I think it's, let's see.
Yeah, President Rose.
Do you need some of my fingers to count with?
Pretty bad.
So we got 7 people here.
So it'd be, oh yeah, because Jeremy wasn't here, so
Right.
Okay.
403.
403. yeah.
403, yeah. Wow. That was pretty bad. Okay. Moving on.
We're very thorough. We like to-
Well, yeah, and they had to make sense somehow. I had to figure it out. All right. Are there any other business this evening? Does anybody have, Jay, do you have anything?
I do not.
Joan?
No.
Anybody have anything? All right, that, I guess, concludes the business of the planning board for this evening. Our next meeting is when? December 2nd, Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. So we will be meeting on December 2nd. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Travis, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Letha. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstain, this should be really easy. Now, because you're all 7-0-0, okay. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you in December. Happy Thanksgiving.